Welcome to Mile High Reefers. I'm Scott Anderson, and today we're going to do a little bit of a live stream and talk about some Q&A with Algae. So to begin with, while we're waiting for people to come online, and I'm just going to start off by saying I'm pretty darn new at the live stream. So I'm going to try to answer your questions as they come up. Looks like we just got our first viewer, so hopefully you guys can hear me. But I'm really going to try to talk about some of the questions that I got on my last video about the algae in my tank, and then we'll kind of talk about algae in general. But as we go forwards, I'm going to try to do some more of these live streams. They're going to be a lot of fun. It'll give me the opportunity to kind of interact with you guys. And it looks like we're getting some people already in the comments. So Sean Nelson, it's great to see you on here. And Simply Reef, hello. It's great to see you on here. So while we're waiting for people, I'll kind of dive into some of the questions that I got in the comments on my last video. So probably the biggest hitter was the people noticed that I had a lighting change, and that corresponded pretty well to when the algae started to grow. And in some ways that's true, but the problem was already kind of downstairs in the frag tanks when all of that happened. So I have a hard time believing it's the lighting that's the problem. I mean, the real problem is I have a nutrient issue. Algae won't grow without lights, but with the new lights, I probably did gain a little bit of par. I'm currently not running the red side of the spectrum because that could encourage algae growth. So I'm trying to take care of some of that. But it shouldn't be too bad, but I really don't think it's the lighting issue because I was already starting to have the problems downstairs in the frag tanks. I still have it downstairs in the frag tanks, and those are just T5s. There's the same lighting I've ran for years down there. So that's what we're working on there. So I'm pretty sure it's not related to lighting. The real problem I came with is I tried some new stuff, right? I've been a little afraid of the bio pellets because I thought they were crashing my tank in the past. And I don't think they were, to be honest, now that I'm kind of seeing how things are going. I tried to pull the bio pellets and I tried to take the GFO off and, try to do a little more natural, holistic method with my tank, let the algae pull the nitrates and phosphates out. In my case, it failed miserably. So now my phosphates are back down to undetectable levels in my tank because I got the GFO on there and it's pulled everything out. Hopefully once the bio pellets kick in, they'll get the nitrates down. Sean Nelson, I see you're talking about no pox. That's a really good idea. I'll be honest with you on that one. It's a product I've never personally used. It comes highly recommended. I've been able to talk to people about Red Sea. I've even got the dosing pump to make that happen. But right now, I'm just trying to get my tank back to where it was a year ago. I'm going back to carbon, GFO. I'm going to have the calcium reactor. Basically, we're resetting this tank to where it was a year ago filtration-wise because it was rocking then. So I really think the mistake was that. No-pox may be a better way in the future, but until I really get my tanks back to where it is, I don't want to do any experiments because the experiments are kind of what bit me in the past. So that's kind of what we're running into there. Let's see. Let's look and see who we got some questions from. We got Brian's Aquarium. Good to see you. Michelle Combre is hi from Australia. That's awesome to see people from Australia. Grish Patai. Probably mangled your name. I'm sorry about that. I have brown algae in the tank. Lost blue channel. Now only white on. What should I do? Brown algae, it's probably green algae that's just not real healthy, but without seeing it, it's kind of hard to know. But yeah, nitrates, phosphates, and get your blue channel back. If you want to keep a healthy reef tank, blue channels are fantastic. So I'm all about the blue channel. And I honestly don't know how much it matters. I haven't done the experiments, but they say the closer your lighting is to kind of the red and yellow spectrums, the more algae you're going to grow, and the more you're on the blue side, the less algae you're going to grow. Now, I know blue light will totally grow algae because I've ran systems in the past and grown a lot of algae under blue light. I mean, it's totally doable. So I'm a little skeptical of this theory that blue light doesn't grow algae like the other stuff. I think as long as the algae is getting enough light energy, it's going to grow, and blue light should have more energy. So yeah, I mean, as far as a practical side, I think you're going to grow algae either way. So for me, I'm focusing on nutrients. That's probably what most of us have to do. Big water changes are also a huge thing for algae. So let's talk about big water changes while we're on this. I've done a video a while back about why I don't do water changes, and that was okay for the way I was running my system at the time. It made a lot of sense for me. But as things are going right now, I have to do water changes. Not going to be able to fix the problem without doing water changes. So we need to do water changes. So on normal maintenance, 10% water change is pretty standard and good, and that's a great way to go. So, but when you have problems, I've had really great success with doing big water changes, like 50% or more. And most people will tell you, don't do that. You're going to stress the coral. Your coral has adjusted to grow in these other your coral is adjusted to your new crappy water. Well, maybe that's true. And I mean, if your alk is low and you do a big water change, you bring it up, it's going to shock the coral. That's true. I mean, it really kind of depends on the problem you're trying to fix. But if you're trying to fix a nutrient load issue, like you're dealing with algae, that's where the big water change will come in handy, right? As long as you're not going to make a huge adjustment on your pH or not pH, but pH and alkalinity. I guess both of those are pretty important, right? As long as you're not going to shock the system on the alk or calcium side, a huge water change can be awesome. So if your makeup water has alk at 8.5 and you're pretty close to 8.5 on your system, doing a huge water change can be awesome, like 50+%. I've done this on frag systems, and really, if I ever had problems in a frag system, I would do a huge water change. It makes a big difference. That really will drop the nutrients down. It's a good way to do it. I'm a big fan of that. Now, the problem with my tank is it's 450 gallons total water volume, and I can't do a huge water change for very practical reasons. A 50% water change would be 225 gallons of water. I have no way to make that much water up. Plus, trying to drain that much water out and refill it all would be an insane stressor on the system. So on a 25-gallon tank like my Nano, it takes about 10 minutes, and it's easy to do. And in that situation, it makes a lot of sense. On my 210-gallon Reef, if I had a practical way to do it, I would actually do it. It would make a lot of sense for me. My alk's right where it's supposed to be. My calcium's right where it's supposed to be. So doing a huge water change for me would be probably my best and easiest fix. But the problem we're going to run into is that the algae is already growing. And if you've ever had algae kind of taken over your tank, you'll probably know that the algae will stay in your tank even when water parameters are perfect. I mean, with my 24-gallon, I struggled with algae in my tank, and my nitrates were undetectable. My phosphates were undetectable. I couldn't get rid of it. That's why I decided to dose the Fluconazole at the time, and it worked really well. But I had tried huge water changes, and that's part of the problem. But another part of the problem is with the rock itself. The phosphates will actually kind of bind themselves to the rock work, and while you won't be able to test it in the water, the nutrients are still there, and the algae is using it. So it becomes a problem. So I'm going to be running into that with my big tank. I guarantee it. Okay, we got a bunch more questions. Let's get into it. LMAO par is compromised of big peaks of blue and red. So if you add a red, it stands to reason that the terrestrial plants will grow better, but it doesn't mean that the blue doesn't grow algae. 100% agree with that. Hydrogen peroxide is magical. Drip to mine, GFA infested, zoas in it, and it's gone. Sean Nelson, that's really cool advice. I've heard mixed results with hydrogen peroxide. I'm scared of it in some ways, and I've also heard some people not have good luck, and other people like you, I've heard huge success stories. It's just something I haven't personally tried, and I'm probably not quite ready to do it on my own big system. I mean, we've got thousands of dollars worth of coral in there, and I'd be devastated if anything happened to it. So LMAO UFO, I think huge water changes are mandatory every once in a while. I 100% agree with you. Like I said, when I designed my system, I designed everything for about a 90-gallon system. Now we're about 450. So the water change portion of it wasn't upgraded because of a lack of space, which is my fault. And now I'm paying the price for that. Let's see. Rebel Reefer. Hi, good to see your family. Made it to your live show. Yes, everybody. I forgot to say, Ian's here hanging out with us. We love this kid. He loves to be on the show. Let's see. LMAO 30%. Okay. Eric Lawrence. Hey there. Just curious, how many hours a day are your lights on throughout the day? What's your lighting schedule? Lights come on about 10 in the morning and go off about 9 at night. Sounds like a bigger lighting schedule than it really is, because I've got this kind of hour and a half ramp up time, and then same thing goes low at night. So I'm only getting peak par for a real short period in the middle of the day, and then most of the day we're kind of lower on par. I used to run 12 hours all the time with my old lights and never had a problem. But because of everything going on, I have kind of dialed that back. Plus, I love the ramp up, ramp down. And I'm struggling with some corals, so I don't think I want to stress them with the light like I used to. But yeah, lighting is a fun part of this, and you've got to worry about your algae, your coral, all of it. It becomes kind of an issue. Simply Reefer, I'm doing huge water changes on my nano because it makes sense. I totally agree. Nano's brilliant. You know, on a 10-gallon tank, you can do a 50% water change with a 5-gallon bucket. You probably don't have to do that much, but it's just so easy to do. If something gets out of whack, it's a great way to handle some of those problems. Sean Nelson's running his for 9 hours. I think that's pretty standard for most people, 8-9 hours. I think that's a good way to go. Yes, and then Reflux works. It does work. My 24-gallon, it knocked it out without a problem. My 210, it didn't. Here's what I think happened, right? So the 24-gallon, the water quality was right where it needed to be. Everything was right. I was able to kill the algae because there was no way for the algae to really compete or live or do anything, right? Basically, we put the fluconazole in and stressed it to the point that it died. The 210, on the other hand, had too many nutrients. It had too much there. So even though I gave it the huge dose, it wasn't enough to kill it. Maybe if I would have dosed more, but I hate to say it, on a tank the size of mine, where I got 450 gallons total water volume, it is really expensive to dose fluconazole. Those little tabs are only good for like 10 gallons. So I have to use like 45 of those tabs to dose my tank. It's really expensive, and this was not a sponsored thing. I paid for this stuff myself to try it. Yeah. So the fluconazole is a little inexpensive. Like Jake Adams said, or Simply Reef, like Jake Adams said, it resets everything. I agree. Jake's the man. He knows what he's talking about. LMAO UFO, any tips for starting a small coral farming system? Yeah. So do it in a part of your house where you have concrete floors and a floor drain. That's always number one if you can do it. You're going to spill water. It's going to be messy. You're going to be fragging. Get a good frag saw. Frag saws are huge. You'll make so much money with a frag saw. Find a good wholesaler, because you're going to want to be able to import some coral or bring some coral in and cut them up and heal them and start getting your own stuff. So wholesaling, find a good wholesaler, do that. And then, of course, then you got to find a way to sell. Build a website, build your brand. That's all really important stuff. If I was to try to do something, I might even think about eBay, just because eBay is going to do the marketing for you and you can be selling coral immediately to the entire United States. So that would be something I would think about as well. And of course, join your reef clubs, go to the local reef shops, do all that kind of stuff. They are a blast. Plus, people make a lot of money at those things. So yeah, you want to start a small reefing setup, do any of those are great options. And then, of course, monitor your water quality. You have to watch this stuff like a hawk. I do have to say, running a frag system is very different than running a reef tank. For farming, it's going to be much more closely to a reef tank. But if you're constantly selling stuff out of there, your bio load is going to kind of go like that, right? Because you're going to be bringing coral, you're going to be putting coral into the tank, it'll grow, and then you're going to be selling stuff out. So as you bring stuff in and sell, your bio load goes like that. So your calcium, your alkalinity, it's going to be used at really weird different rates. You're going to have to watch that like a hawk. A frag system can be a working frag system that's got coral going in and out all the time. It can be a lot harder to run than a standard reef tank. All right, let's get to some more questions. Sean Nelson, I have really small spots of GHA. Should I use reflux or should I wait until it becomes more of a problem? You know what? I wouldn't wait. I would look at your water quality, see if you can figure out what the root cause is. Honestly, sometimes you'll never know. You'll do the water test and you're going to show zeros, nitrates, phosphates, all of that. And you're going to want to bang your head on the wall at that point. Yeah, just hit it with the reflux. Waiting is usually a bad thing. You can just try scrubbing it off the rock. That might be your best bet for right now. If you scrub it off the rock and it doesn't come back, you've won. It's a really good way to do it. On small tanks, that's really easy to do because you can actually pull the rock out of the water and scrub it and get all angles of it. On a big tank, it's a lot harder to do that kind of stuff. So it depends on your ability to do it, because once you start scrubbing, the algae just goes in the water. It either reattaches to something else and grows, or it just dies and then puts the nutrients right back in the water, which is a problem. So if you actually have the ability to take the rock out of the water to scrub it off, that's ideal if you can do that. Let's see. Doctor of Welsh Magic. All right, I love that name. My main is only 55 gallons, and I have a 26 gallon and water change religiously 50% a week. That's really great advice. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Makes sense. Eric Lawrence, I was struggling with algae for a while, and after some various experiments, I just started doing a 10-gallon water change on my 75 every Saturday. Results have been amazing. Yeah, I mean, really, it comes down to water quality, so that's great stuff. Simply Reefing, why did you quit Aquamedic? I hate to say it, I'm not allowed to tell you. Here's what I can tell you. It was my choice to leave, and I loved the job. So that's what I can tell you. I loved the job, but it was my choice to leave. So we'll leave it at that. I hate to do it that way, but for reasons that are beyond my control, we got to leave it at that. Doctor of Welsh Magic, I trade my frags with the LFS for store credit. Yes, that's fantastic. You know what? Locally grown stuff out of tanks is the most sustainable. Plus, you get cool stuff. Aquacultured stuff is usually the healthiest, hardiest stuff. I love that. Eric Lawrence, what happened with Aquamedic? Hope you find a job soon. Yeah, I wish I could tell you guys more. But yeah, I'm looking. Right now, I'm focusing more on the channel. I had some car issues, but now that I'm starting to get some more time, I'm going to be working more on the channel, debating on whether I want to try to work part-time, maybe at a fish store or something like that, and try to grow the channel and grow some other stuff I want to do, or if I want to go back to the factory jobs where I made a lot of money. I hate to say it, money's really important, and in the stuff I did for factories paid really well. And, you know, money's really important. I hate to say that. Let's see. Green Navy. Do you have clownfish, and what kind? Yeah, I got like 7 of them. So I've got 5 in the big tank. They're just standard Ocellaris, really fun. I love the standard Ocellaris. They just look like the kind of fish you would see in the ocean. And then in my Nano, I have some black and white Ocellaris. They're pretty cool too. Always wanted those, and I just kind of got a pair in my 24, and it looks great. So, yeah. So algae is a fun one. We're all going to struggle with it. It can be beat, but yeah, right now I'm banging my head trying to take care of my stuff. If it was practical, I would do a massive water change. If I'm unable to figure out how to fix this problem, I might have to figure out how to do that massive water change, like 50+%. It'd be worth it, but there's some risk there. So I've got to figure that out. Let's see. How's the tank again? Tank's doing pretty good other than algae and the month. You know what? Tank's doing crap. I hate to say it. It's going up, right? I've got time to work on it. It's getting better, but you know, the last year I let it go. I hate to say it. And then I tried some experiments that were a bad idea. I shouldn't have done it. I hate to say it, when something's working and you're having great success, why mess with it? I should have taken my own advice. I should be smarter than that. Eric Lawrence, I love these live streams. I look forward to Milev's streams every Saturday. I think you should make this a regular thing. I would really like to do that. My goal is to kind of do these regularly. Part of my problem with doing regular streams in the past was when I was doing factory work, I didn't have a regular schedule. And then when I was doing the Aquamedic thing, I was working a lot of hours and I just didn't have the time. So depending on what I do for a real job, this really could become a regular thing. Milev's Reef, love that guy. That guy's kind of a hero of mine. I mean, he's living the dream, right? He's in the industry. He's his own man. People love him. And his skills are so amazing. He does great work. So yeah, I would love to be like him someday. We'll see if I can get that far. But, you know, the goal really isn't so much that. It's to, you know, enjoy life. So I got to figure out what works for me. I love the aquarium industry. I want to stay in the aquarium industry, but, you know, got to be able to earn money. And the aquarium industry isn't necessarily the best paying industry. So, yeah, I know it all comes down to money. I hate that, but you know, it's how it goes. Rogue Aquariums. Hello, Rogue. Okay. If you guys don't know Rogue, he's my good buddy, Darren DeGraw. He's got a huge tank he's building, 600 gallons with the sump and everything. It'll be well over 800. We got some projects planned together. So hopefully we can make that happen. Rogue says hi, Ian. So say hi, Rogue.
Hey.
So yeah. If you haven't subscribed to Rogue's channel, subscribe because he's going to have some pretty cool stuff coming out. And I'm so jealous of his tank. He like bought the house around the tank, or at least partially. Yeah, my kind of guy. Doctor of Welsh Magic, could you do a 20% daily for 3 days, equating to about 60%, but a lot easier? It's a good idea. But it's really inefficient with the salt in the water, right? Because you'll do 20% and everything mixes in. And then when you do another 20%, you're going to take 20% of the new water out, right? So it's a really inefficient way to do it. It might be the way I have to do it though. It's a good idea. And the problem is every water change you do, you're going to become less effective on that water change, right? So every 20% I do, I'm going to be taking out more and more of the better clean water. So from a salt efficiency, it would be really inefficient. But considering my current constraints, it might be the best way for me to handle it. So that's a great suggestion. So yeah, so algae is a fun one. Live streams I'm going to try to do more of. And you know, I think these are fun. So as life goes on, I'm going to try to do more of these live streams. Maybe I can get to the point where I'm doing a scheduled live stream. I'm going to continue to put my videos out every week, and I got a bunch of projects I'm working on. So hopefully all of this is going to go together to provide you guys with some really awesome content. So thanks for watching this live stream. I'm going to try to do a short one, and I'm going to kind of figure out what the best length is for a live stream and everything. So thanks guys for watching, and we'll try to keep these going. We'll see you later.